Hey guys, it's me, EODGamer here, and we're back with another tier list video. I haven't done one in a really long time, but I think with the new Pure Fiction game mode, I do want to input some of my opinions to help be like a bit of a guiding signal for any of you who are really confused in the new event mode and what characters to build as well. We've already talked about best teams for a lot of how to clear the Pure Fiction for many different people in the game, whether you have certain characters or not. Check that video out. In this video, I'll share with you my thoughts and the rationale of why certain characters are better than the others. If any of you are interested in the thoughts of why are they better and will their betterness actually last a long time, then do stick around to the end to find out. Otherwise, of course, you can find the tier list very nicely in this video too. So first things first, let's give you like the TLDR straight up. Who are the best characters in the game? The first character that I think deserves the biggest commendation from where she was and where she is now, I think is none other than Himiko. This unit is insanely strong. She came from like literally C tier or B tier and now all the way in S plus tier. Super good because not only are the enemies weak to fire break damage, there's a lot of squishies, which means she stacks up a lot of her talent passive, able to like do that spinny thingy in an AoE fashion. Very strong amount of damage. Standard character, more or less, we can get her for free if we lose a 50-50 unfortunately, or eventually get to 300 pulls. Big game changer. Himiko finally sees her day. Very strong. Other than her, I think the other character who is like the king of Pure Fiction in my opinion, surprisingly both of them are red hat color. Don't know whether it's a trend, but anyways, the one that is the strongest in the game now by far, like clearly by far, is Argenti. If you guys have these two units in the game, probably you're laughing and like, I don't even need this tier list. I know every single character is beneath these two because I play them and stuff like that. But super strong units. If you play Argenti, you'll be easily clearing above 30k in the first half. I wouldn't even if it's like purely built, you probably are breezing through the first half. If you have him, build him, just put him in. Even absolute dog shit relics, you'll do super fine as well. Two characters that are super strong, but these are 5-star characters. You'll be like, EOD, I don't have these characters. Obviously, I know they are strong, but tell me some free characters to build. So let's jump into the next one, which I think is in S plus tier, and you will be very surprised that character is Herta. This unit is absolutely crazy in the memory of the Pure Fiction event game mode now. She spins like mad. If you build her well, people are even building her hyper carry Herta. You don't even need speed at all. She just follows up with massive amounts of damage bonuses that you can get, killing off a lot of squishies one shot. If you have a character, for example, like Ronmei, you get that really nice break. They just all pop instantly. And super good to build. If you are playing Herta or you haven't played Herta, you have her some like good ice gear ready. Slap it on her, you have some extra bucks, you have a couple of days, like 30 plus days as of time of release of this video to farm for her. Trust me, you can check out the best team comp videos. A lot of us are playing this unit, absolutely going bonkers. If you always like Kuru, this is the best time for you to Kuru your way to 30k. Very strong. Other than that, since we talked a bit about Ronmei, I want to explain why Ronmei is still so good in Pure Fiction game mode, unlike some other Harmony characters which we'll talk about a bit who have fallen off. The reason that makes Ronmei so good is twofold. Firstly, she buffs in a team-wide aspect. In the current Pure Fiction, the meta is actually to run triple offensive units or even 4 offensive units instead of having a sustained character, because you do not need to have all characters alive to clear the 30k with like max stars. In the Memory of Chaos, we need characters to be alive, which means sustained characters like Natasha are generally slightly higher up and stuff like that in the Memory of Chaos, because you need all characters alive as one of the requirements. Pure Fiction, you don't care. More Bunga better, which is why Ronmei does very well, and she plays into many team comps. Whatever team you are looking for, Ronmei probably will be able to slot in the first or second half. She doesn't care. And the second reason is twofold. So the second reason that makes her super strong, in my opinion, the second best character in the game right now for Pure Fiction, is because when she does that break pop that you additionally get when you break effect the enemy, it pretty much guarantees you to kill off any squishies. If your main DPS like Argenti or Himiko, for example, pop them once out of their weakness and have that weakness break of physical or fire. These two do a lot of break effect for the elements like physical and fire break a lot of damage. You pop them together with the additional damage Ronmei gives to combine together her other harmony buffs and whatnot. You pretty much one-shot all the squishies very quickly, allowing you to clear the team very quickly, run very fast through the entire roster. Flexibility, super good, very strong in either team comps, and also has specific use in this game mode. But we already know that. Let's jump in with some other characters that I think are super strong, and we'll go down like the list slowly. right now we are probably missing like a sustain character. We talked about Harmony, we talked about like some free units that you can play, but in my opinion, like the best defensive unit in the game is an offensive defensive unit. Had the irony, offensive defensive unit like Huo, who offers a lot of energy to your energy hungry characters like Himiko, Argenti, Herta to some extent as well, offers attack bonuses throughout the team, making her very similar to a character like Ruanmei, which buffs across the board. Argenti loves that, he likes energy, he likes attack, so does Himiko. Huo does very well here too. So I think she's probably like the best sustain unit out of all of them. And another strong 4-star unit, and I don't want this to like go all the way to the end, I think is a character like Tingyun. Some of you will be like, oh my, he's putting like Tingyun in S tier, it's not S plus tier. I think that Tingyun is in S tier because the only team comps that we are seeing, and we have like 3,000 plus statistics of people who actually cleared 30k and above, you can do very well with Tingyun, but you most likely are playing her in a hyper carry team which relies on one of these guys doing massive amounts of damage. If not, you probably will be struggling quite a bit. You're playing the Memory of Chaos meta. She still does very well, attack bonuses for them, energy bonuses for them, but not as good as other characters like Ruanmei, who adds in a lot of damage on her own, so not removing one slot, making you have only output from one character. Tingyun probably is S tier, but very high in S tier. Let me talk about something that now that I want to mention, which we briefly talked about when we were talking about Herta and Huo. The current meta is to actually run multiple DPSs, but we don't want to run sustain units because you don't have to have all characters alive. In that sense, your defensive units like Natasha, like Jabhat, like Bailu, these three especially, are not as good as they were before in like Memory of Chaos, where they are essential because they don't really add too much offensive position to help you clear more of the squishies. They just keep your characters alive, which ironically doesn't matter too much in pure fiction. A character that adds maybe a bit more value will be like Lynx. I'll put her as a filler because at least she does like buff HP, draw some aggro to help have some utility aspect to help you funnel energy to certain characters like destruction characters, preservation characters and whatnot. But by and large, still very low on the tier list because she herself doesn't do too much damage. A character that I'll put much higher on the list will be about a unit like Fucc. I'm tempted to put Fucc in like S plus tier, but logically I think she should be somewhere around S tier. She doesn't do the carrying because you don't really need too much of the block surviving, but she is still quite an offensive defensive unit, which provides crit rate to your entire team, helping them do more damage, and also has good amounts of quantum AoE in her burst, and you pretty much just slap her on and she's like good to go, right? I'll put her as S tier, probably the second in my opinion to a character like Huo. And another one that I think is strong is a character like Mark 7. She has a good amounts of AoE freeze, she has aggro draw which can funnel into the right character, but still defensive in position. She doesn't really do too much damage outside of that. I'll put her like in B tier. In my opinion, you don't really need sustained characters in this game mode. I think that's my personal bias. Am I missing like one sustained character? I think it's Luota. Okay, so next up we have Luota. Luota actually gets an A tier even though he's relatively defensive, and that's because he works very nicely with a lot of the other DPSs in the game that are decently strong, which are like Jingliu, like Blade, which we'll talk about later. But synergies push him a bit higher, but definitely out of the 3 limited, he's the weakest here in pure fiction, unlike the 2 more offensive defensive units. Because also the enemies are more weak to quantum than they are weak to imaginary, and weakness breaking for quantum is like slightly better than imaginary in the pure fiction game mode, which combos nicely with other units that can weakness break too. That's why I rate him as A tier. And are we done for the sustain units? We are left with one, pseudo sustain. I think Clara is S tier. If you don't have Argenti, who is like super strong in this game mode, Clara is a question mark good, and let me explain why. If you think about it, pure fiction theoretically doesn't really benefit her because the turns are very short. You only have 4 turns to kill as many units as you can. Enemies don't have turn order manipulation where they attack very fast, which means there's a set amount of damage that the enemy can do to you, which allows Clara to act in a limited fashion. But if you are struggling in a hard floor with no sustain units, your team is getting wiped, Clara is a pseudo defensive unit because she has aggro draw and she has damage reduction kit, which means you can easily run a 4 offensive unit roster, staying alive to the end of the 4 turns regardless of what, because she at least helps keep you alive. And that reason alone, even though she doesn't theoretically play into pure fiction's meta, I think that she works and gels very nicely with the ideology of a 4 DPS or 4 offensive unit lineup. allowing you to run like Pella, Nihility characters, Ronmei, and other DPSs also in the roster, helping you hit that DPS threshold much quicker as well. I rate Clara personally as S tier. I've seen other lists that put her much lower, but this is my thoughts why I rank her a little bit higher than other people in the community space too. So that pretty much rounds out our defensive list. Let's talk now in order of elements. I think that fire and physical are probably the strongest. So characters, for example, like Esta are definitely in A tier. You get good amounts of AoE buffing similar to Ronmei, speed buffing. She uses her ult very often and does a lot of fire break damage also with her skill that just pokes the squishies and probably one-shots them together with a break effect build or even like a Ronmei build. I think it's like super strong Esta. Definitely S tier in my opinion, very usable for 30k clears. Combos nicely with the other like strong tier 1 characters too. So my opinion of Esta, S tier. Huynh is like a lesser Himiko. She's not super strong like Himiko where Himiko one-shots everything. But if you have another character that is in the S+ tier, S tier, and you're just looking for a bit of fire break, I think that Huynh does very well here. She's going to be a lot of similar to other characters like Serval in the lightning category. I think Huynh is that equivalent in pure fiction in 1.6 for the fire category. I'll put as A tier. And Fire MC here, this is the other character I think I missed out on. Defensive unit but offers a lot of AoE fire damage. So similar if you don't really care too much about Clara, you don't have her as well. This is another option in a similar sense. Not too defensive, but able to keep your entire team alive and offering a lot of fire break. You might want to tweak up their break build. You can put them for break effect, bruiser kind of build. They out a lot as well. So you can use it in that sense to get that fire break damage going in an AoE fashion. That is my opinions of like Fire MC. So Fire, super strong. Next one is of course Physical. Physical is very strong, which I think Physical MC is a character that is like slept on tremendously. No surprise because no one needed this character. But if you do not have Argenti, you do not have Clara, this character is untested. The sample size that we have of people playing this unit is so small. But in theory, this character should work very well, especially if you have put some resources. Don't even need to like crit rate, crit damage here. Just go pure break effect and you will find tons of value, offering you a similar sense of Huynh, a similar sense to like Serval, where you're looking for that free fire damage, free in physical damage in an AoE fashion. I think Physical MC is an option if you find yourself missing that AoE physical damage. Very strong, I think, which would do quite well. Before we talk about Harmony characters, let me talk about some of the Hunt characters. I think characters that don't do well are single target DPSs that don't have the ability to follow up attack and have some AoE damage, because you use an entire turn just to kill one squishy, absolutely not with it. Characters that fall in that fashion are like Arlen, Hook, Su Sang here, we talked about Su Sang in a bit, but like Dan Heng here, all these four, like Yan Qing, Hook, Arlen, Dan Heng, some of them have like a bit of splash, but it's like too small to even matter. I don't think it's like super good. You have them like super high investment, single target in nature. Maybe Arlen's like the highest out of them because of that tiny splash, maybe like that, something like that. But still all very weak. Stronger than the defensive supports because at least they do some damage. But you might as well use other characters that are much cheaper to build and can do a lot more as well. So that's my thought on them. Some single target damage dealers that I think are okay is like Su Sang. She's like B tier, probably like Phils. If you're looking for that physical break, at least her ult pushes her up again, which synergizes with some of the top tier units like Ho Ho, Ting Yun, so you have some sort of push when you are ulting with like Esta and whatnot. But largely single target nature, don't really like too much. Same for Xue, largely single target nature. Because she has colorless break, I think she can fill in a slot if you're looking for a missing unit, but I don't think she's like super strong. I'll put her as B tier in the pure fiction game mode, of course, which values a lot of AoE. So the last of the single target units, two last ones, is like Luca, which I don't think is very strong either. I think he's like C tier in my opinion. Not too great for this game mode especially. Okay, and we have Topaz and Nambi, who is the next single target damage dealer. I think Topaz and Nambi deserves an A slot. She's not going to be the character that hits you at 30k clear, but I think definitely she is quite strong in my opinion. She will do quite good value for your roster, she will help you kill some monsters, but most of the team comps that we are seeing do very well is with Himiko in the same roster. So I don't know whether it's Topaz carrying the account or but it's more than not likely Himiko is actually doing a lot of the work. She just synergizes okay-ish with Himiko, so that's the reason why I put her as A tier. Largely single target in nature, but works quite well with the characters that are in meta right now. That is for Topaz and Nambi. Now let's talk about the next category, which is the lightning element. You'll be surprised that Jingyuan is actually a pretty decent. I would say like maybe not a guaranteed S tier. I'll probably put him here in A tier. He falls slightly short of getting that 30k, but he can get you quite close to that 30k mark if you have another team that is super strong that is helping carry you. I think there is an option that's available. He is good because his AoE character does a lot of damage in an AoE fashion. Lightning, if you're looking for any lightning weakness breakers in the second half, Jingyuan is definitely a one to consider. Very, very strong as well, as we talked about in our best teams video for the pure fiction game mode. Another character that is super strong is Kafka. This is a lightning DPS character that offers a lot more in a sense like Jingyuan. She similarly offers a lot of AoE damage, but she acts very, very often. She keeps hitting so often. If you build her a little bit more for good amounts of energy regen, you pop enemies very quickly. Kafka Himiko teams shred the second half easily, and I think deserves a S tier by no means. Most of the teams that if you have her paired with another one, or even a hyper carry Kafka, is getting a 30k clear or almost 30k clear. Very, very strong as well. And she's coming back in the second half of 1.6, so any of you who are looking to maybe even pick her up, this is a side bonus, works very nicely in the current game state meta. For any of us who don't have Kafka, I think Serval is a pretty good choice as well. I'll put Serval as like slightly below Kuei-Naifen and Jingyuan, just because these are definitely like still stronger units. In the first half Fire or second half Fire, Kuei-Naifen offers a good value, but these two I think can go like either way. These three really can like switch depending on how you feel like putting it, but for the fact that she's free, deserves her being like bumped up a little bit, because you do need to spend some money on these other limited characters as well. So good option similar to Kuei-Naifen if you're looking for that lightning in a 4-star character too. So that is for these units. Let's talk about something fun now. Let's talk about Zealer as well as Silverwolf. Now this one by and large will come as a pair, because Silverwolf without Zealer is largely single target debuffing, not too much good, but with Zealer it becomes slightly different. So Zealer on her own, probably I'll rank her as A tier, maybe somewhere around here, slightly weaker than Jingyuan in my opinion. Jingyuan at least still is able to function with decent 4-star supports and hyper carry style. Zealer on the other hand is very similar in terms of style. She benefits because she is a pseudo single target character. So what do I mean by pseudo single target? When she kills a single target, she acts again. So it becomes like half single target and a little bit of like AoE and stuff like that, which is why she works pretty well in this game mode. A lot of us in like 1.0, when you first put Zealer, you remember how strong she was because she's one-shotting squishies. Pure Fiction brings that back, that memory back. Definitely really strong here too. Silverwolf combines very nicely with Zealer because it helps her guarantee one-shots on slightly higher difficulty squishies, helping you keep proccing that kill one target, act again. When you defeat targets, you get the energy back, and then you just keep chaining and comboing, getting you quite a lot of points. We do see some 30k clears with Zealer, but requires a bit of investment. That's why I'm leaving her in the A tier together with like Jingyuan. They can get you to 30k clears, but require you to have like at least some of these top tier units in the same team as well. That's why I put them as A tier. They won't help you breeze through, unlike like these characters in the S plus easy peasy tier. On that note, let's talk about more popular characters. A unit that I think is very strong is Pella. Pella is very, very good because she hits in an AoE fashion. She's like a sub DPS, yet she allows a lot of debuffs on the enemy, which allows you to have your main DPS basically one-shot almost anything. You don't even need to kill the main unit in the enemy roster, like that big chunky guy like Savarok or Japat. You don't have to break them or kill them to get that 30k, which means that all you're doing is just killing squishies as fast as you can. AoE DPS does that, give defense break. I think is like super, super strong. I am tempted to put Pella in like S plus tier, but for the fact that there are so many already here in the S plus tier, I think I'll leave Pella as like the highest in S tier. Super strong. If you are playing her, you might be like breezing through most of the content already. Very, very good unit. The other character that I want to talk about is Jingliu. This is where it gets a bit tricky. I know a lot of people are playing Jingliu in Memory of Chaos and finding a lot of value, and also trying to play her in the Pure Fiction. You might find a bit of value from here, especially if you're playing with Pella, but by and large, is Pella doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Jingliu has downtime. She doesn't always have an out-up all the time. She has some sort of downtime in her kit, and when you only have 4 turns, the downtime is felt very, very greatly, especially when you don't have a pusher that gives her that immediate turn order. For that fact, I think I'll put her as S tier. There's only a certain amount of action she can take, and I see a lot of people playing her. They're all on average around like 26, 27, not breaking the 30k mark, and for that reason, I'm going to leave her at A tier. If she is clearing 30k, it's usually because you have one of these above characters. I think Jingliu is like A tier in my opinion. Carried a little bit because the enemies are somewhat weak to ice. That's my personal opinion at least. Next character that I want to talk about, let's talk about harmony units now, which let's start off with simpler ones. Yukong, imagine is not super strong right now. She does offer a lot for buffing in a team-wide bonus. So I'll put her as like A tier since she buffs in multiple units. Does require a bit of skill points, imagine not doing super well, so pulled down by that fact. But other than that, she still offers a bit of burst on one squishy here and there, which unlike other like supports might not be able to kill off one squishy in that sense. I think she's like A tier. Probably lowest of A tier because she's still buffer nonetheless. Similarly, Hanya, I think Hanya is like pretty okay. I'll rank Hanya somewhere around here. You can find good value with her, especially since she is physical. A lot of the physical DPSs are working quite well, but for the most part, I think the other supports like Yukong, I mean, your characters like Tingyun, for example, characters like Ranmei do offer a lot more value, and Esther as well, buffing the whole team, speed buff, everything to help you get more turns as well, unlike Hanya. Does fall a little bit short, but still almost in my S tier list too. Next up, Bronya. Oh, this is going to be fun. I do not think Bronya is as good in this game mode compared to other game modes. I will still rank her slightly higher than Esther. And here's my thing. Before you light all the pitchforks and spam the dislike button because Bronya is lower than Tingyun, let me tell you why I think so. I think that Bronya is significantly lower than Tingyun in this game mode is because turn order manipulation in the pure fiction matters a lot less for Memory of Chaos where you have 10 full turns. When you have only 4 turns, how much are you pushing your characters up by? 4 additional actions or maybe 5 additional actions if you have them move a bit faster. Not very much compared to other characters who immediately buff their energy, so they immediately spam a break, or have attack buffing passively on the characters, yet giving skill point positive to your erudition characters to keep bursting. I think Tingyun offers a lot more in that aspect by just simply adding value without consuming skill points. Bronya on the other hand does favor turn manipulation, which this game mode doesn't offer as much value in my opinion. I just think Tingyun is a much better pick. And Ranmei, of course, we mentioned for the reasons Ranmei is significantly better than Bronya. She offers buffs outside of her turn order. You don't have to push anyone. It's just almost permanently up if you have a 3-turn rotation, more or less too. So that is currently, and we have 5 more characters to go. Qingque suffers, is a good AoE character, but suffers from Quantum being not super strong. I can see her easily moving up when the day comes where Quantum becomes more meta, but for now I'll leave her with B tier. Definitely stronger than the other single targets, but we don't see many people playing her too much currently without a dedicated skill point buffer currently. Well, I think Well is here as well. He is a good AoE character, but there are not many units in the current 1.6 that are weak to imaginary. For that reason, I will leave him slightly lower in B tier. I do see one day he'll go up a little bit. Definitely if the enemies are weak to imaginary. Similarly for Imbibitor Lune, this one is a tricky one because he is theoretically a very strong DPS in the Memory of Chaos, but I feel he falls very short in this current cycle of the pure fiction. Similar to Welt, no enemies weak to imaginary in this game mode, but still he is a strong DPS in an AoE fashion, which means he shouldn't be in C tier for sure. A tier, I'm struggling to put him here because the other characters here on this list, I see them almost making 30k. Imbibitor Lune struggles a lot, and for that reason I think I'll put him as B tier. Not in this game mode currently where enemies are not weak to imaginary. He requires a lot of his whole team supporting him, whereas you can easily get by with 4-star characters like Serval, Herta, which don't have too much dedicated buffers like Queen Ivan as well, and you get a lot more value out of slotting them instead of a dedicated character that needs so much skill points funneled into him to do so little. For now, at least in 1.6, without any of these other future characters coming up, at least. Other than that, Sampo offers some wind damage, but wind is not super meta right now, so I think I'll put Sampo somewhere around here, maybe. Same as the rest of them, wind is not super valuable in this game mode, and I tried him personally with a Kafka DOT team. once I took him out and sorted like some other support in, I did a lot better, like with Pella. So I don't think he's super good. Definitely a filler if you're looking for some character to fill the slot, but I'm not going to carry your account. Last but not least, Blade. This character, you guys know I love him. This DPS is like so universal. Good in MOC and in pure fiction. Even though the enemies are not weak to wind, he offers a lot of damage, requires very little resources. The only downside is he requires some sort of sustain if he's especially being poked or something like that, which in my opinion makes him probably somewhere around here. Not the best, but not the worst. The teams that Jing Liu clears 30k with have Blade in it, so he's definitely deserving of a spot higher up. The only thing holding him back is the enemies are not super weak to win in this meta. And that is my tier list for 1.6 Pure Fiction. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Happy to hear them as well. Do it respectfully, of course. And I highly recommend you check out this video where we put all these characters and show you exactly what people are playing in the Memory of Chaos, or the Pure Fiction rather, or both. And you don't have these meta characters. What do you do then? Check it out. I think it'll be a tons of help for you to get that 720 Stellar Jades as well. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.